see, cause we ballin'. Putting in that work early in the morning. Super Bowl team and now these haters salty. Rockin' Zenny shades to the championship ship. That Nick Bosa drop him hard like a hit stick. The Jimmy Ward intercept him with a pick six. Like Debo, we gon' knock him like a brick. The Trey Lance play action to a drop back. When the blitz coming quick, the old line gon' block that. RPO with Kyle Hughes, Juice, Mitchell and George Kittle, can't nobody stop that. Stand behind Kyle Shanny all the way, it's like a game of chess when he call the play, Brendan Ayuk on the slanter fade. Bang, bang, Niner gang all day,
All right, videos courtesy of NFL.com. Welcome to IE Sports Radio. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, and your girl Bex. We are the East Coast Red and Gold. What's up, everybody?
Hey, people, what's happening?
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
I found her hat. That's great news. That's great news.
I know, looking slick there.
I like that hat. That's a very nice hat.
I know.
It's cute. It's cute. One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I have lots of hats. Lots of hats.
All right, so Niners Cardinals final score 38-10. Rocking and rolling that game. A lot of passing. We'll see how that holds up. What do you guys think?
It was a good start. It was a good game. The first time, what did I read? That we had two receivers have 2 touchdown catches since Jerry Rice and T.O. did it in 2000. Mind blown. Like, wow, it's been that long. But that's the type of football they're playing. So it's a really, really, really good game, I think, overall.
What's up, Maddie?
I figured I'd shut my mute off and then go from there. I thought the best part of it was that after kind of an initial slow start again, 3 weeks in a row, no points in the second half allowed to the defense. Like, how amazing is that? And also the special teams, key punt formation stuff and punt coverage stuff. Just excellent work all the way around. Good team football, and we'll discuss later why things are the way they are, but things are trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I echo that. It was good team football on all 3 phases. Offense was clicking. The defense does what the defense does, and special teams, man, just pitting them deep. Making them have to go the distance. That's what we need. So it was a great all-around game. I think the best all-around game we've had all season, really.
No interceptions and no sacks.
Indeed.
Yeah, no turnovers, period. That's really great. I just want to acknowledge Brandon Ayuk's route running. It is filthy.
He's tearing it up.
Like his his first touchdown, the one that he actually had dropped against the Chargers and he caught against the Cardinals. That route was just like they kept showing like the replay and I'm like, oh my God, that's such a filthy route. Like his route running is just unbelievable.
And he does that every week.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Top DBs in the league. He's tearing them up. And whether
I'm
it's
just
the
kind of glad
DB
that
corner,
he's
he's constantly turning people around.
Right. I'm just glad he's no longer in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse and he's really coming to his own
Well,
and
Yeah, he got out of the doghouse last year. It was after the Chicago game early on. Just with him blocking and going all out, he was out of the doghouse. I mean, this guy's been balling since last year. And it was
really weird how they rehashed that the other day. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They that's what they do. Stir in the pot, as we talked about before the show. They love to bring that stuff up. They just keep stirring it up.
Yep.
Oh.
And Jimmy G, 3 games in a row without an interception. It's the longest in his entire career. I just want to throw that out there. 3 games in a row, no INTs. Longest streak for Jimmy. So We're going to give him.
Man, I hope you just didn't jinx it.
I'm not
I know.
gonna do it. I'm
That
not
was a
gonna
death
do it
knell
over
right
here.
there.
But we're going to give him his flowers because he's playing well. So hey, right?
He does deserve his flowers.
He
What do you think,
does.
Ty? Does he deserve his flowers?
No.
So one of my friends texted me and said, I see a lot of love for Jimmy from the same people who were hating on him, over the last, whatever couple of years. And I said, look, if he's playing well, he deserves his flowers. When he's throwing ducks, he deserves the mud puddle. What do you want?
Ty, how come you're not going to give him his flowers? How come you're not going to give James Arthur his flowers?
James Arthur.
James Arthur didn't play Sunday. Come on now.
James Arthur. Let me get this. Let me tell everyone this. James Arthur is playing good.
Melissa.
Okay, but it's average quarterback good. He isn't doing the exceptional, the great stuff. He's not, excelling, going beyond. He's doing average stuff. And because he's not making the bonehead mistakes that we've seen in the past, we're like, wow, he's really great. But in truth, he's just doing average stuff.
And that's what I said to my friend. He's playing okay. When he's on, he's good. He's okay. He's not great. But when he's bad, Jimmy, woo, the Ducks
It's
and
really
the
bad.
Mud deserve one another.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, look, we know what Jimmy is. He's Jekyll and Hyde. We call him that all the time. But I agree with you, Ty. He's not lights out. We're not going to hang the franchise on his shoulders.
No, but he's doing enough to help us win games. I mean,
he's getting the ball. We talked about this a few weeks ago. He's getting the ball to the open man.
Yeah.
And it just so happens everyone open is 5 yards or less from the line of scrimmage, It's nothing downfield, anything crazy like that. So he's just making real easy throws. Hold on. Which we need.
Right.
And the guys receiving the ball are doing a lot of heavy lifting. So it's like, okay, we're in a group project, right? There's one person that's doing the minimum. The rest is doing more. Let's not praise the guy doing the minimum. Yeah, you did your little job. Thank you for contributing. But we're not going to say you're the MVP of the group.
So Ty is giving Jimmy G a dandelion.
A wild flower that otherwise
A dead one that you can blow away, which is really the most entertaining part of it, I would say.
Where's your weed?
The flowery.
Exactly.
I am giving you the skeleton of a dandelion, Jimmy.
I didn't want to
before
say
we,
Ty is giving Jimmy G a weed. I figured I would spruce it up a little bit.
That could be misconstrued.
That's true. That's very true.
It could be setting
I
up.
realized that as I
entirely
was
too many
actually
other
saying that.
Good call. But
Go ahead, Maddie.
there was the play with Kittle, the first touchdown, by the way. That was not your typical, dump and run. That was one of those deals that we're always like, oh God, don't do that, right?
Exactly.
But it worked perfectly. Why did it work perfectly? Because we finally surrounded Jimmy with all of the weapons that he needs. Who was the third down back in 2019? Who was the third down back in 2020? Who are your best pass catching backs?
We didn't have one. we were running James.
Why did we suck on
there.
third down at the beginning of the year? There's nowhere to go on third down, right? There's nobody out in the flat. They didn't trust it to throw to the running back. Now you have a running back in McCaffrey that they trust to run as a slot receiver on the slant if they want to, which now frees things up. They finally have the guy they've needed all along, and Jimmy is the one who's in a prime place and a prime need to take advantage of that. So this is just the perfect storm. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is the MVP of this team by any means. No, by no means is Jimmy Garoppolo the MVP of this team. But he's playing the point guard role, which is what Shanahan wants. Shanahan is the quarterback at the end of the day, right? He wants his quarterback to be an extension of him. That's not me being like, whatever. That's me listening to football people tell you exactly how he wants to do things, right? Like, he wants to be the extension of that. Bill Walsh was very similar with the way he wanted to do things with his quarterbacks. Jimmy's finally able to do the things because he's finally given him everything he needs to be successful. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day.
There's only one extra piece that was added, though.
But that was the piece that was needed because it added two pieces. It added a chain mover via catch, and it added a chain mover via run. He was the missing link.
I just want to throw help in there. I just want to throw some healthy players in there, healthy starters coming back too.
Yeah, I mean, all of it. I mean, like,
no
training camp. No training camp with him. Like, this was first 2 months of the season were also training camp for him because he was off working on his own, doing stuff with the, I don't know, was he throwing balls around the Gold Rush crew? I'm not really sure what was happening during that time frame. I mean,
quick question. How come after the Seattle game, when he came in, replaced Trey, there was no talk of I didn't have a training camp?
Because he's coming off the bench on that one, right? That's one of those deals where, like, hey, great news, you're in. And that sort of happens. It's like, oops, break glass in case of emergency. Now in the next week, you're the it. You're getting all the reps in practice. You're the guy. Surprise! Congratulations.
And also, didn't every Niner fan breathe a sigh of relief and go, at least it's Jimmy and not this rookie guy that's maybe had a handful of reps?
I mean, where would we be?
I swear, I'm not trying to say anything controversial. Like, there's a lot of he's probably gonna. There's a bunch of different things to play here. One, you've got a guy also, fun fact, in his contract year. Okay, and I don't know. It's just so coincidental that a lot of times when guys in their contract year tend to just play their best. I don't know what it is, right? Maybe they go to bed a little earlier. Maybe they take their Brady juice a little earlier. I'm not sure what it is. I don't. Actually, maybe they stay away from the ice cream. Yeah, maybe when someone hands them the weed, the dandelion, they don't take it. I don't know, whatever it might be, right? But it's all these convalescence of things, right? This might be, this might end up being a better season than 2019. And if you have a quarterback that's better than 2019 Jimmy Garoppolo, even if he's just fractionally better, is the rest of this team better than that one was now to be able to take advantage of things? It's too early to tell. But boy, it seems to be trending in that direction if things continue to stay good on the health front and things continue to stay good on the everybody gets to get that incremental piece. Like, I really liked what happened with Mitchell last week. Like, yeah, he got a lot of run last week, but then this week, like, he got to come into the second half and really knock him out. Thunder and lightning.
Yeah, he was really fresh too. Like, I like the back and forth.
Hard.
But yeah, I mean, this is the healthiest we've been in 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, exactly, like knock on wood, but I wanted to go
later
to a question that Taryn had. Mm-hmm. So are people going to acknowledge the Niners as a true contender? One of the top defenses out there, and the offense is starting to click. I think some people are acknowledging that the Niners are a true contender, and then others are still saying that we're pretenders.
Wait and see.
I'm sure.
I'm actually concerned with the amount of people who are like, oh wow, 49ers get out. Like, I don't like that. I don't.
Because I saw a tweet today.
I don't like being that dark horse team. That's not fun. It's never a good idea.
I saw a tweet today that had the playoff picture, as it stands right now. And we're first place in the division. We're the number 3 seed right now. But that burning question, who have we really played?
That's the caveat that people always put out there.
Right.
I think the same caveat is out there with the Eagles too, right? Like, they're like, yeah, their record's great, but look, who have they played? And as the season continues to go on and people continue to win, it becomes to me a matter of, it doesn't matter, we're winning, right? We keep winning.
Yeah.
So
Minnesota, look, people were saying that about Minnesota last week, and look what happened to them in Dallas.
Exactly.
Right. And because you can kind of look at it, and basically what we're doing is probably like basing that off of. By the way, it's really funny the way Ty's thing is set up. It looks like he's wearing the Dwight Clark jersey, like on my screen. It's really funny. It's like he's just like,
Right.
it's really great. It's like, little size jersey. That's funny. I did not plan it like that. I swear.
Down some more. There we go.
That's awesome.
There we go.
That's great.
Oh man. But that's really like that really worked for everybody's like, well, you know, they beat this team, they beat that team, but that team's not really that good. When you look through a lot of our wins, a lot of our losses, like none of them really make sense. I thought that Chargers win was pretty good because they were rusty and they looked rough, right? They looked ragged and they still managed to pull that one out. If it was early in the season, like, you know, the Chicago game, the Denver game, we saw what happened in those two games, right? They came out ragged, they played bad. Like that's just what it was. To go back and answer your question from earlier, though, Ty, I think I probably have a better answer for it now. For the Seattle game, it's not so much that I cared about preseason. He was healthy, and when you're coming in that game, like none of the game plan is for him. All the game plan is for Trey, right? So they got to go busting out whatever they had from whatever. So it's like, all right, just go schoolyard some stuff, right? And that's what they did. And then the next week, he had to think about it. And that's too much, right? And then we have what happened in Denver. So that's why I don't use the preseason thing for the one game. But when you start getting into everything else, like a little bit different.
In that Seattle game, one of the first plays he ran was RPO. You can't just come out of nowhere and run RPO.
Right.
That takes experience. That takes experience. That takes know-how. That you have to know who you're hitting, what you're reading, etc., etc. So the whole excuse of I was rusty and I didn't get a playbook, I didn't know what I was doing, that he used in subsequent weeks, ridiculous. That does not count at all.
Stuff right there.
And you know, after that game, he was like, "Oh, it's just like riding a bike. It was good to be out there with the fellas. It was nice. It was blah blah blah." You know, you didn't hear any of those excuses. He was Jimmy GQ at the podium. Oh yeah.
Speaking of stirring the pot,
I'm looking and doing good.
Jimmy, and Ty will just lose it. Ty will lose his mind.
No, like I said, he is playing well.
He's like
easygoing guy. Bring up Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, he already threw his hat.
At me, like
the blinds are gonna come off the window.
I didn't have
everything's
a flag.
just gonna go nuts.
Like, yeah, 60th anniversary Doctor Who special. I was waiting for a Fez to hit me in the face. Bang! Like it was right there.
Well, yeah.
He's one of those like
Yes,
he is.
Man, oh man.
No, but it's things where this week people are like, he's playing elite. He's great. He's phenomenal. And I'm just like, whoa, pump your brakes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is
exactly.
You know,
that's a lot. Yes, he hit 5 yards
this week. He was a helper
consistently.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
He was a helper. I like it.
Yeah, this week he was a helper. I mean,
the play,
you know,
like Matt, you brought up the play to Kittle.
The Cardinals, what they did. Sorry, Ty. What they did to the Cardinals, they should have done to Chicago. Like this is what we should be doing to teams like the Cardinals. You know, but I hope this momentum, it just, you know, it keeps going because again, like, and I feel like I say this every show, like now the Saints should not be a team that we, you know, look to and say like, oh, this is going to be like an easy win and, you know, and stuff like that.
This is a classic trap game.
Yes, I agree.
Thought the Cardinal game was too, because they're in our division and you just know, like they always seem to have our number. So I was a little concerned, but I'm like, on paper, we should go out there and smash the crap out of them. And we did. So I'm hoping, you know, even the Saint game works out the same way. They're terrible at stopping the run. You know, they're not good in many ways. So I'm hoping that we have the same translation of success.
Yeah, their defense tends to play good team defense. But we saw in the Cardinals game, when we have all our guys on the field, it's pick your poison.
Yeah.
Who are you going to stop? You don't know who the ball is going to go to. You don't know where it's going to go to and when. You're at a complete loss I pulled one video clip, and it's of the Brandon Ayuk touchdown. I want to bring this up, just to.
It's not the part
show
where
you what
he's
I mean.
throwing the ball at the poor
No,
photographer,
at our
right?
video guy. No,
Photographer
oh my gosh, that poor guy.
Who's
Gonna
going
have
to
like a bruise on his leg. Poor guy.
That poor guy. Okay, hold on. Whoa, time out. This thing is taking over, people.
Hey.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Welcome to T2, everybody.
exactly. All right.
Ty's the tech guy, just so you know.
Exactly. I am IT. I'm sorry. Okay, this is the first Ayuk touchdown. Everybody sees Ayuk. He's in the slot there, bottom of the screen, number 11. If you can just look at the safety at the top in the end zone and just watch his reaction to the play. This dude is like a deer in headlights. He doesn't know who to guard or where to go. I mean, look at him run. He runs left. He runs right. He comes back. He doesn't know what to do. I wish I had a close-up of this, but just look at the guy on the Z in Arizona. Watch. He looks in, he looks out, he comes back. Oh my gosh. He doesn't know what to do.
That's like a
Well,
classic.
the other
Come
part
on,
of that-
man.
Pick your poison. He doesn't know where to go on that play.
The other part of that too is Buda Baker is supposed to be the guy who catches everything, right? He's supposed to be the human eraser for that Arizona defense. And you saw that he completely was out of the play. He got his guy, but that was it. And
Buda
when
was
you can
guarding
get a
Kittle
guy like
one-on-one
that,
on that play.
Yeah.
He put him one-on-one on Kittle like they normally do.
exactly. So like he's tied up, right? So he can't be the guy. He can't be
Nope.
that Ed Reed type that comes in and cleans everything up, right? Which is what everybody wants from a safety like that. Like eventually I'd like to see Hufanga get to that point, right? Where like he notices there's a mistake and he can still come back in and clean it up after, right? He's already done that a couple of times already this year. So, and I think he has that in him. I think he has that next thing. Ronnie Lott had that too. Just had that ability like, oh no, I made the wrong play, but I think I can still save it. He's got that in him. So like, that when you have that ability to take that away from a defense, which is what they showed there, like it's not like Arizona's like the 85 Bears. Let's calm down a little. But like when you can take a key player like Baker out, right, and you don't have enough depth to get anybody else covered, somebody's going to be open enough to make a catch, right? You're going to have situations like Ayuk had last week against the Chargers where he was wide open. Remember, if he catches that, like it's an entirely different ball game all in itself, right? So, you can start seeing the chess. You can start seeing that he's playing really good chess when it comes to Kyle at this point. I also think he's getting a little bit more chemistry with his coaching staff. That's got to be a little bit different too. He had to replace a lot
That's
of
a
guys
good point.
this year.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Emmanuel Ocho break down the one running play? And Melissa, to your point, I mentioned that at the very beginning that that it was Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, first time since 2000 that we had two players with 2 touchdown receptions each since Jerry Rice and T.O. So what a great night for both of them. Yeah, that's pretty spectacular. Like to think
Against Chicago.
first time, like wow. But yeah, him and Ayuk both combined to match T.O. and Jerry Rice. That's some pretty good company. But getting back to Kyle and his play calling, Emmanuel Ocho broke down one of the running plays and talked about the scheme that Kyle worked up and how that was the best play he's seen at all this entire year, schemed up for any game ever. And it was a run play, and he was talking about how that when you're a defender, you have a triangle. You're looking at certain players.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is where you tend to go because it's either going to shift one direction or another. And the way that we schemed and we pulled them all to the right, he drew a red line down the middle and he's like, count the players, the Cardinals all over here. Now count the number of Niners over here. You only have 3 Cardinals left on the side of the field. And, now it's a numbers game. You've got all the right people to block. And it was the Debo touchdown run. And he just pointed out, like, you're outmatched. Now you have all these players who are just going to take out anybody who's there. And your guy, he's like, it's the greatest thing I've seen drawn up on paper, or, as a play from a defender, perspective. So I was really excited. I retweeted it earlier. I was like, look at him break this down and talk about Kyle calling plays and us executing. It's all in that execution piece of it. But I think Kyle really, really now seems to have, the cup is full. We have the cupboard full, and we have all these weapons that we can pull out at any time and start to just dissect different defenses and take advantage of it. But that was a great analysis of just one play. But I thought
that was a great video.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really good
by him. Yeah. And it's funny, I didn't hear anybody saying we miss Mike McDaniel this week. Can't find those people. Y'all out there?
Or fire Kyle and John and all those.
Did you guys
people.
notice the Brian Greasy sideline shot this week? I hadn't seen a Brian Greasy sideline shot all year long. All of a sudden, boom, there's Brian Greasy talking to Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, maybe it's because Brian Greasy used to be employed by ESPN. I don't know. Could be kind of convenient, but that's an entirely different crew, right? Like Buck and Aikman took over for them last year. It's not like they were buddies. They weren't like coworkers.
Right.
So I just thought that was very interesting that he got a little bit of run on that. And it made you think, like, if Lance had struggled this year at this point, or if Garoppolo was struggling this year at this point, what would we be doing right now? Wrong as Brian Greasy guy. You put him out of the booth. How'd you play quarterbacks? And like, I don't know.
That's totally
there was a Bush in office. Like, what are we doing? Right? Like, we could. So there's been some improvement for whatever reason. There's a bunch of different reasons, right? Like probably 5 or 6 different reasons that are just bumping him up a level. That doesn't make it elite. It just makes it better than it was, which maybe is all we need because the rest of this team is pretty solid. So you got to give him some credit. Maybe he's done some things with some fresh eyes, right? Like maybe he saw something from the outside that somebody else wasn't seeing. Maybe he has Kyle's ear a little bit differently, right? And is able to tilt some things towards the player that maybe Kyle's like, all right, I guess I trust him a little bit. I've seen some articles this week where they're like, it seems like Kyle finally trusts Jimmy. I'm like, oh, well, that's now he does, right? After all these years. Now he's ready.
Now.
Right? Just now? No sense to me. Whatever. Yeah. I'm just that's more pot stirring, but
we're really into that today, the whole pot stirring.
Exactly. It blows me away because I can see it from a mile away now.
Diamador Lenore, very first snap of the game, makes him lose 6 yards. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a ball hawk and he's really coming into his own. I think it helps having Mooney Ward back there, like the veteran leadership. I think that the sky's the limit for this guy.
And his name is fun to say.
It is fun to say.
Lenore, I know.
Diamador Lenore. It's got just like a little rhythm and.
Ambry Thomas okay? Is he on a milk carton somewhere? Like Ambry Thomas got us to playoffs last year, and I'm like, bye, Ambry Thomas. Thanks for playing. Like
he is down on the depth chart.
Womack is doing some good stuff in the slot too. Yet they insist on keeping Jimmy Ward in there, which I think Jimmy Ward's a great player, but I think it's unfair to him to put him in the slot. I don't think that's a fun experiment. And I wouldn't normally be like, let's put a rookie. Yeah, I'm not typically like a let's play the rookie, but like in this case, like let Womack. I would rather have Womack learning at the nickel spot now than realizing in like December, like, oh crap, like Womack has got to do this now, right? Like, but I don't get like why some of these defensive backs are like Lenore got all sorts of run earlier this year, and then Mosley gets hurt, and Lenore's not getting as much run as he was before that, right? Like. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like some of these rotations, like we rotate the offensive line on a fairly. They've got that rotation going with Burford and Brunskill, which I think is super helpful. They've got great rotations going on the defensive line. So like I don't understand the rotations in the secondary as a whole, particularly if like Mooney's nursing a groin. I don't know if he's so much nursing a groin as he was. I think he was just winded. He was the one who didn't make it to Colorado Springs this week. Yeah. So, like, he was gassed in the first quarter. So, kind of makes sense that he seemed to be on every play. But I'd really like to see more Womack out there, not just because of
too.
injury, just because I think he's a really good nickelback. I think he could really learn. I think he's a ball hawk and will be there. And I'd like to see Lenore and Thomas on the field a little bit more as well. Not over anybody per se, but like just a little bit more to get some of these top guys a little bit more rest. And more importantly, if something happens to one of these top guys, these guys can jump in and they're ready to go. And it doesn't take a while for them to get back up to speed.
Well, Thomas has playing experience from last year, but we saw it takes him reps to get revved up.
Mhm.
I think from a depth perspective, we've seen Womack and Lenore jump him on the depth chart. They just have something. They have an it factor. I like Lenore when he started the 2 games last season. I thought he played very well. We saw this year he was not a starter, but he worked his way into that starting role. He took the nickel role away from Womack. Hey, if he's that strong to take someone's job, then let him be out there. I agree. Womack has that same kind of thing that Emmanuel Mosley has to me. Remember 2019, Emmanuel Mosley's rookie year, when he just played. He just had heart. He competed. I mean,
You take that X-ray of his chest, and the dog is there.
the
That's
dog
what
is
it
there.
right?
Exactly. Remember, we had
The dog is
Witherspoon
there.
out there,
Yeah.
and Witherspoon got hurt. Exactly.
Right.
And Mosley came in and just played. And I was saying Witherspoon should not get his job back. This dude is playing lights out. And they tried Witherspoon, they gave it to Mosley, and we haven't looked back. Womack has that same kind of it factor to him. So I want him out there. And I would put Ward back in the slot. And, Gibson, I know he's playing well, but he can be depth. He can be the depth guy. If something happens to Ward, which we know he tends to get injured. If he gets injured, no problem. Put Gibson back out there. So, but Womack, he has something to him. So I agree. If we can get him on the field, let's get him on the field.
Every time I hear Samuel Womack's name, I like to play Return of the Mac.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
It just reminds me of that song. Okay. The offensive line, I thought they did pretty well. What do you guys think?
MVP of the game. No one's talking about
MVP of
them,
this
but
team right now.
They were outstanding.
They were great.
I mean, and think about it. No one's talking bad about Mike McGlinchey this week.
I know.
Even he was out there balling. And the unit as a whole, all 6 of those guys were outstanding this week.
Thanksgiving miracle.
In my notes,
I hope that keeps up.
I wrote down Jake Brindle on Buda Baker. No quarterback pressures allowed. Like he played really, really well. Yeah.
I mean, the only play
you know,
that I saw that defense really made was the one that J.J. Watt made when he batted the ball down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the extent of the Arizona defense the other night. And the play at the end where they just basically channeled their inner early 1990s Tito Santana Matador and let them just roll right through. Hey!
Oh, for the Kittle touchdown?
Man, I gotta tell you, I would not have wanted to be a part of that Cardinals film room when they reviewed that touchdown.
Nope.
Because when they call it out on a national broadcast like that, they're usually they're somewhat kind a lot of times on the broadcast because they have to see these teams a lot of times later on in the year. I don't think they have to see Arizona for the rest of the year because they just torched them in that one, lit them up. I gave up on this play, and I'm like, wow. But you could see it. It was just unbelievable. So,
hey, Chris, we don't adhere to pro football foolishness on this show.
Here's the thing with PFF.
There you go.
Okay, there's a lot of good things about it, but at the end of the day, it was created by Chris Collinsworth. Okay, that's it.
Now here's a guy.
Well, now here's a guy.
Okay, so I can't. There's nothing else I can say about that.
You
Like
beat me
that,
to it.
right
You beat me to
there.
it, Ty.
Like that's it. It has all these cool features, all these cool things. I really like the fact that you can find DFS ownership percentages on there. I think that's really handy. Gives you a leg up on some things. But again,
Well, on that note, though,
long
Trent
time
Williams
49ers
had
enemy.
the highest grade he's ever had in his run blocking grade this week. So,
He must not have been tipping
out.
plays, right?
Right. So all the tipping of plays, for what it's worth, he got his highest run block grade ever in his career. So
I saw him tip a play and then take out two guys,
yeah, right. Like
two linemen,
Literally, it's like
I saw
not little
him.
guys.
all of you.
two linemen.
That was the tip.
I saw him tip a play that should have been a run, and it was actually a pass.
I saw that too.
I mean, right? Like
I saw him do
Almost
the
out
like it
here
was set
tipping
up like
plays.
that
So is he
to
really
create this madness, right?
I know.
Yeah.
he's taking names,
It's like
right?
It was like the people that were on Twitter all week to see Twitter crash, right? It was the same deal. Like
Yeah, missed me with all that stuff.
we didn't figure this out yet. Like this is
Yeah.
all they hyped it. I mean, that's really what it was. So, but the best part of that was to see them play that well in that kind of atmosphere. Because I don't care if it was 82% 49ers, that's a huge atmosphere, right? That's a giant. Even a lot of the players' wives were like, "Oh, this is like the Super Bowl," right? Like it was nuts. And that place was loud and that place was crazy and they had to do all sorts of stuff that week. Like
And don't you think
that's a big win for this franchise.
Yeah, but do you also think that we planned accordingly? The Cardinals didn't do any sort of altitude training at all, and in the fourth quarter they just looked gassed. Like no one was running hard, no one was keeping up. At least we went to Colorado Springs and tried to do some acclimation.
I think this late in the season, I think the Cardinals are just very dysfunctional right now. But you know what? You have to plan that stuff like ahead of time. If you want to go, you know what I mean? Like it's not just like a last minute thing, but I just they need to get their stuff together in that organization. Thank God I'm not a Cardinals fan.
We're not.
David, you're 100% right. You're 100%
But,
right.
yeah, I want
to
to talk-
Nobody wants any part of Debo running at them
Yeah,
head
I
on.
want to
Right?
touch on
That's like
that.
a little bowling ball.
Or
Yeah,
even George Kittle's touchdown
Yeah.
when he was
Yeah.
running down the
Same one.
sideline.
Yeah.
Oh, that one was.
But
that one
he's
was
also a
ridiculous.
hard guy to tackle. And that's why I say, you know what? I love the bubble screens and all the other stuff that we do. But get these guys out on a passing route. Get them on that second level, third level, where they're taking on the DBs and safeties. Those guys don't want to tackle them, especially in the fourth quarter, because they're delivering punishment. If you remember the play before Kittle's last touchdown, Debo caught a shallow pass, and it took three guys to bring him down. They were hurt from that. Then here comes George Kittle steamrolling at you. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that was.
It's like, yeah,
It was a white-
I ain't tackling him either. Like, go ahead, just score. Forget it.
Yeah, exactly. They were down. They were all just like, I'm out.
There
I'm
you
done.
go.
It was very.
Yeah.
It was very white flaggy, but at the same time, they were using, I guess they were training. They weren't training at altitude, but they were using altitude masks of some type because that was the way they went with it. I don't necessarily think it was the training itself. Like that might have been fine. Like that's all good. I just think that whole team, as Jess mentioned, like they're in trouble. Like if you go back and
big
look at
time.
them for the last few years, they've started off really well pretty much every year but this year. And then they usually fade off around November.
Mhm.
And if you look at a college schedule and you look at the way the college schedule runs and you match that up to the success of the Arizona Cardinals would have an amazing college franchise, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
me talking about that is I think they're just getting towards the end of this run because they're like, okay, well, 10, 11 games with him and it's the same deal, right? And this year they haven't even had that magic to where they can kind of throttle down.
Yeah.
And I think they just got to a point where they're just like, I think they were mentally done before they were physically done.
Mhm.
And I think that's what that was. And then all this stuff happened with their coach on Saturday
Oh my God.
night.
Oh
Or,
yeah,
like,
some
and we don't need
incident.
to get into
Yeah.
that, but like, good Lord, like, can you be somewhat of a professional, please? Like,
Exactly.
you're out representing this sport on one of the world's grandest stages, and you can't even like be a human being. Like, I just can't even believe it. So, and
Yeah, I
yes,
hope we're never
please,
on
Melissa,
Hard Knocks.
never,
No,
never,
Melissa,
ever,
ever.
100%.
Well,
Every
I
year,
know-
it's like, will
I
the
know some
49ers be
people
there? And
would
I'm like,
wanna-
no.
I know some people would want like that insight and stuff
Mm-mm.
like that, but no.
no,
I don't want the
Nope.
dirty
No.
laundry aired. No.
No,
yeah,
thank you.
no, I agree.
I don't want any
no,
of
thanks.
it. None of it.
Listen.
And you know what? Half the stuff they don't even show
Hard
from this
pass on
Cardinals
that.
thing anyway. That whole
Mhm.
thing's a mess, and they're hiding a bunch of it. There was something happened with one of their players last week that they kind of like
Yep.
shuffled off under the rug. I'm going to be real interested to see what they do with this one, because this is when you can't
Not
really
gonna
be
mention
popping
it.
out there either. So what a mess. But
Well,
whatever.
they fired the
The
one
exciting
coach.
part about that is they're in our division, and we still have one more game with them left this year. Woo! Keep that in your back pocket.
The
if you
very
need it.
last one, yeah.
And my guess is they're going to have a different head coach for that game. That would be my
Yeah.
guess. So whoever that might be, hot take.
Quite possible.
Yep. Hey, Melissa,
Did
Brian,
anybody
we
find
don't,
out-
we don't need Hard Knocks. We got 49ers brick by brick and excellent
by brick.
production.
That's
They
right.
do a great job every
That's right.
preseason.
Yeah.
We got our own thing going on. HBO, you do somebody else.
Yeah.
Worst case, we have Jed York's Twitter. Okay. So, like,
There we
little
go.
Vino and Jed York will start tweeting.
Exactly.
Okay. Like,
It's been
maybe
great
that's what we
since
need to do.
someone
Send him a little.
took his Twitter fingers away, for sure.
We gotta.
Did we
We gotta.
find out-
Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to send a package there. We send it. It's registered. Jed, we've missed the Vino tweets. Here you go. Right. Just send them some nice something from the East Coast, and get them going. Again.
Yeah.
A good holiday. Gift.
All right, guys.
You got a
Game
question
balls for Niners Cardinals. Ty, were you going to say something?
No, Melissa asked Maddie a question.
I'm gonna look at
Oh.
that, but I'm gonna let you. I'm looking at right now because I don't know off the top of my head, because it's been a long time. Because even when the
Mhm.
49ers were like running tables, they weren't
Yeah.
always sweeping the division. Like
Yeah.
they'd split with Atlanta
It-
or split with some terrible Saints
Yeah.
team that was coached by Bum
The
Phillips or some
Rams or
garbage.
somebody. Yeah.
Like
And
you'd just be like, how did that happen? Like it just never made sense. I'll be back with that
Mhm.
answer though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I always like have a little heart palpitation with those division games, because those are the ones, even on no matter what, you should win. People suck, and you end up losing to the New Orleans Aints back in the day with paper
Yeah.
bags on their heads, and somehow they find a way to win. So yeah, it's I never just dismiss any division game because you play
Yep,
them too
they're all
often and
important.
they know you too well.
Yep.
For those other teams, it's their Super Bowl a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like growing up, that's
Sure.
what it was. When somebody
Yep.
played the 49ers, a lot of times it was their Super Bowl, whatever that was.
Exactly.
It's just, you saw it with the Cowboys in the 90s. You saw it with the Patriots recently too. Like,
Mhm.
didn't matter if it was the San Antonio, the San Antonio Rough Riders, right? Or whatever it might have been. Like,
Rough
whoever they were playing, that's it. Greatest game of their
Yep.
life coming now, right? Like, that's what was going to happen.
All right. So, Ty, you want to start us
You're
off with
saying-
your game balls?
Game balls. Offensively, for me, it was the offensive line. As I mentioned earlier, they were out there just doing it. I mean, coming into the game, my big concern was J.J. Watt on Mike McGlinchey, because that has been a problematic matchup in the past for us.
Yeah,
And
that
he
was
handled
definitely
them.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, he handled them, and they tried moving Watt around, and whoever he was in front of, they handled him. It was like, get out of
Mhm.
here, And they brought pressure a lot, and they picked up the pressure and kept the pocket clean in the run game. They were opening holes. I mean, it was a sight to behold. So they get the game ball for me offensively. Defensively, it was just a collective. Everybody did their job. I got to give a huge shout out to Diamador Lenore, who had a quiet but great game. I mean, he was forcing stuff on the run. He was guarding people in pass. He did great. And special teams, once again, you got 99 problems, but a Mitch ain't one. He's pitting that ball deep, and the guys are getting down there covering it. I mean, that's great stuff. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Becca.
99 problems, but a Mitch ain't
But a
one.
Mitch ain't
I am
one.
deceased.
Well,
Actually
so he was also
deceased
going
right
to be
now.
my special teams guy. I don't think I can really top that. So I'm just going to say what Ty said about special teams, because I thought, Mitch, we almost had 3 of them pinned inside. If it wasn't for the rain and slipping and sliding,
Yep.
we would have had them pinned down, inches a couple times. So I think Mitchie gets the game ball on special teams. Offense, I'm giving it to Brandon and George for their, pulling that off and getting each of them getting 2 touchdown catches and tying that whole. When you match company like Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens, like that's game ball worthy. On the defense, I'm giving it to Greenlaw. I thought he played a really great game. He had a really, really great outing today or on Sunday. So Greenlaw gets my defensive ball for sure.
Especially coming back from that BS ejection.
Yeah, for the ejection call. Yeah, exactly.
Which I still haven't seen a level-headed take about in a week and a half. All you got to do is look at the video and see the quarterback getting hit from behind into Drake Greenlaw. But yeah, Drake Greenlaw is just out there headhunting. He's going to stop in midair. He's Keanu Reeves all of a sudden. Come on. Oh, by the way, to answer your question, Melissa, the last time they went undefeated in the division was 1994.
All right.
Wow. There you go.
That was a pretty good year, if I remember.
That was a very good year. They only lost to 3 teams that year. None of them were in the division.
It was a very good year. Mm-hmm. There you go. Shout out to Kate Rooney. See you on Broadway.
Ty's on a roll.
I would totally go to see Kate on Broadway, 100%.
Me too. I'm there.
I would drive to
that. My game balls, I'm going to go with George Kittle. I always say that the more we get him involved, the better off that we'll be. And I just hope that continues. As far as defense, I'm going to go with Mooney Ward. Just lights out tackling, shut down corner. And then I know, Sam Womack wasn't in there, a whole lot, but I'm going to give him one too, because when he came in, he just really, made a difference, whether it was at the end of the game, regardless. And those are my game balls. What about you, Maddie?
T.Y. McGill. Guy's been off the practice squad, pulled up for the last 3 weeks. We're just all out here praying that Eric Armstead's foot heals, Javon Kinlaw's knee heals, right? We just want we have no faith that either one of them is going to come back, right? But we just keep thinking they will, right? All right, till Armstead and Kinlaw come back. Well, anyways, and while we wait on that, T.Y. McGill is just taking up the space and doing the things in the middle, right? Because if you do not have that guy to do that, well, Nick Bosa can't do the things he does. And nobody else can do the things they do either. And then Fred Warner's probably getting hurt. Drake Greenlaw's getting hurt. Things just aren't going well. So he's up there taking space, doing the things. This last week was the last week he could be called up from the practice squad to the regular roster. So it's a very good possibility there might be a roster move this week to get him back on it, particularly if Armstead's not back this week. And I'm not sure if either one of those guys, I think, if Armstead has to go back on injured reserve, it's not retroactive, and he'd miss another 4 weeks. So wondering how that's going. And yes, good call on T.Y. McGill, 100% there. Thank you, Melissa, for calling that.
I heard Armstead practice some today.
Ooh, real practice?
On the practice field. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I used to be excited about that, and then Samson Ebukam almost broke his Achilles on that. So I'm just as soon as I see them play on game day, I'll be excited.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as I see them play, but I also, you can't let T.Y. McGill go, right? You cut that guy right now. There's a whole bunch of teams out there that can't stop the run.
Yeah.
And he's not going anywhere. So, like, you got to sign him. So, who are you getting rid of?
Who do we
This
used
is
to
why
do
I
that
could never
to?
be a general manager. It'd be horrible. Somebody's going to have to go on injured reserve for him to get put up.
Yeah, somebody will get moved. They'll make a smart roster.
Something's going to happen this week. You'll see something.
Yeah.
Who was our special teams guy we used to do that to all the time? We would
Dante
release
Johnson.
Dante Johnson.
Dante
No,
Johnson was
Dante.
one. We've had there's usually
There's
one.
been a few.
There's
as
a
it goes
couple
through, but
that
now,
we-
since the COVID thing now, this is really becoming a thing. Like, you're going to start seeing this with guys. So, and it might be a deal where, like, you get some guys and you're going to be really lucky and they're going to be like, well, listen, I already live in the area. So if you're going to cut me, that's cool. I'll just see you back here next week. Right.
Yeah.
So, if that works out, great. But you also have to be careful because if somebody gets them signed off the practice squad, if the Chargers decide to sign him off for a guaranteed deal for a week, well, guess what? He's gone. Right. By the way, can I ask a question? Why don't we have a California Cup? Like, we should have some sort of cup for that and, like, a championship belt. I don't care. 49ers went 3-0 running the state of California.
Kings of Cali.
Kings of Cali.
I feel
period.
the same way,
End of
Melissa, about Jason Barrett.
Exactly. Melissa, that's exactly the point. It's just, you're always like, oh, yeah,
Yes.
Klay Thompson.
here goes,
If you're at any of the Bay Area people that watch this, Klay Thompson with the Warriors was the same thing. All right, he's going to be back better than ever. And then, like, there's Achilles after tearing his ACL. And you're like,
What's
oh
wrong
my
with
God.
being hopeful?
Whatever
It's good to be
versity.
hopeful.
Exactly. You can be hopeful.
I would rather look.
You can be
Have you seen
hopeful.
Spider-Man: No Way Home? Right? If you expect the worst, you're never disappointed. Like, and that's how it works, right?
That is how it works.
For 49ers fans, that's how it's been since 1995 for me. I expect the worst, and I'm never disappointed. Yet still, somehow, I'm freaking disappointed once in a while, and I don't get it because I set my bar really low, right? Really low. Still disappointed.
You have the apple bottom jeans to go with it.
No fur boots though. Nothing for that. See, I'm telling you, there's got to be a cup. We need to create a trophy.
Yeah, there should be. I agree.
And nail it.
Yeah.
Put some Gold Bar whiskey in the middle of it. They can drink out of it.
Gold Bar whiskey is good
I think
stuff.
that's a good call. That is good stuff.
All right, Debbie Downer, you're up. Maddie.
I know she's talking about me.
I'm like, me? I mean, I am 100%. I'm not even trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to, like.
We can't even be
reasonable.
hopeful.
I'm trying not to.
You can't have your hope.
Look, there is one
Can't
thing I
have
can be
faith.
hopeful for.
No.
Yeah, there's one thing I can have faith in right now, and it's IE Sports Radio. Because for the last 8 years, okay, during that time frame, the 49ers have had various records and various things happening, right? We've had bad years, we've had good years, but IE Sports Radio has been bringing consistent, amazing content from interviewing legendary athletes to tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. So all the while, it's been powered by fans, for the fans, and with your help, ready to take that next step. So go to our website, iesportsradio.com. You're going to see the Patreon link. There are 5 different tiers. If you went to Mexico this last week, Cinco tiers. All right. The first one starts at just $5 a month. Also, Cinco, if you went to Mexico City this week. That donation gets you shout outs on all of our shows, including this one, because like this would be the one you'd want to be on, clearly, because you're a 49ers fan and you're watching it. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to Podcasting University, and even a chance to be featured on the flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all for continuing to make IE Sports Radio a direct feed for all that is sports. And again, that's iesportsradio.com. I'll go back to being happy and optimistic now. You're welcome.
Great.
Smooth.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome.
All right.
You're very welcome.
Moving on. Niners
Moving on.
Saints. 3 keys to success for our offense. Offense only. Becca, go ahead.
3 keys. Good Jimmy
Yes.
still has to keep showing up. The run game has to be clicking. I mean, they struggle with the run. I think they're like near the bottom of run defense. So I think if we have a great run game, that's going to propel opening up the rest of the field. So we're going to have options for a passing game, but I think Jimmy has to keep playing great, exceptional. What were the other accolades, Ty? Jimmy has to just keep playing
Okay
for Jimmy, and not bad Jimmy. James Arthur,
not James Arthur.
Exactly. Just good Jimmy and a solid run game, and then the rest of it's going to fall into place. Special teams can't. That has to just hold their own, and I think the defense is going to hold their own. And if everybody just does the necessary, we'll be all right.
Hey, Davidson.
Go ahead, Mr. Hopeful.
Matty Hope.
This week is going to show me a lot about this team from a couple of different standpoints. Coming off of the bye week and being rusty and come back and win it is a big one, right? Kind of get some stuff up. When you look at the schedule that they've got coming up around the corner, okay, you got the Saints game, which is a really easy one to look ahead. This is a very, very scary game because you've got Thanksgiving this week. It's a short week anyways because of Mexico City, right? So that whole thing. So it's a Monday nighter. It's a Monday nighter for Mexico City. And you got Thanksgiving this week. And P.S. the Saints really aren't that super hot, but they're still an NFL football team, right? With functioning NFL football players and plenty of talent, right? Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and, Andy Dalton's at quarterback. So you're guaranteed at least one interception in this game, okay? For all you props players out there. But other than that, you don't know what you're going to get. And the Saints are probably going to come out fired up, ready to go, right? Like they got pride. They're fairly well coached. They can be a pain no matter what they are, right? Like they might not be full strength and running and gunning, but they can still be a pain. So anything less than full effort from this team this week is going to show. And then after that, you've got Miami coming to town next week, which could very well be a Super Bowl preview. And even if it isn't a Super Bowl preview, it's Earth 838 San Francisco against Earth 616 San Francisco, right? You've got the Yak brothers against extreme speed. So it's like this whole different stalemate of other stuff. You've got Tampa coming in the next week. The Washington game, which we all thought was going to be like, right? All of a sudden, they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So I don't think they're going to be mailing it in during that time frame. And P.S. we got to sneak in a little division game against Seattle at Seattle on a Thursday night after we play Tom Brady on the national game on Sunday, right? There's a heck of a stretch for this team coming up. So it's going to be really easy for them to overlook this. So my thought is they come out sharp, focused, and they come out gunning early and playing well. I'm going to feel really good moving forward. So that's my key. Hot start. The 15 plays, right? How it used to be. First 15 plays scripted, and boy, they could tear some teams up doing that. I want to see that this week. Let's go back, the Walshian days and really nail that script this week. I'd really like to see that. That would be my first key. Second, special teams. No missed extra points. No missed blocks. Nothing, right? Every kick has to be clean this week. It's just going to be one of those games where every point's going to count. And then defensively, I just want to continue to see the secondary fortify. And more importantly, I want to see them stay fortified on third down. They tend to get into these little funks where third downs can get third and longs tend to get converted on them. I'd like to see them start early with some quick 3 and outs as opposed to, okay, we're really great in the second half, but all those third downs in the first half wore us out. I don't want to see any of that. Like, let's get going early, hot start defensively as well for that. But offensively, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep cooking. Use your different weapons. Let's get some Danny Gray going. Let's get some Ray McLeod going. Let's get everybody going, right? Let's get everybody some touches.
Go ahead, Ty.
I'll jump in there. Quick note, Danny Gray played a few snaps versus the Cardinals. He actually got open downfield on one play, but the ball only went 5 yards. So, it is what it is.
I wonder why that happened, Ty. I wonder, you didn't want to break that down? That's totally fine.
No, we all know why it happened.
Why did it happen?
Because keep it simple, stupid. When the quarterback looks in the mirror and says, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Throw it 5 yards. No need to throw it downfield. That's what happens. So let's get back on track here. Okay, keys to offense for the 49ers versus the Saints. So this is not the same Saints defense that we've seen in the past. They have been bullied in the run game. They've been pushed around. Their pass rush has been very inconsistent. They don't get after it like they used to. And they've been prone to giving up big plays in the passing game. So
But yet they're still 12 overall.
Still 12. Yeah. Because they've had some up and down games. So what that means is let's just play 49er football.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get after them with the run. Pound the rock first and foremost. Right? I think that's key. Then we can use that to set up play action and hit them with some big plays or even some misdirection plays to take advantage of them trying to be overly aggressive to compensate for things. So if we do that, we just play 49 football, I think we'll have it made. We'll put up points. We'll score touchdowns versus field goals, and we'll do very well offensively. I think we need to take some deep shots too. Just dial it up. Just, hey, throw it. I don't care what you see. Just throw it out there. And some big things might happen. So that's the keys to offense.
Yeah, I'd like to see some shots taken. My 3 keys, I think we're going to actually have to run the ball more than anything this weekend. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, like, you know, the Saints have Christian McCaffrey's number. You know, they've shut him down, but also, you know, when Arizona played Carolina this year, you know, they had shut him down as well. And, you know, he did pretty well Monday night, I think. But I think we have to run the ball. You know, Bryant had commented that, you know, Jimmy G just needs to play confident. We don't need to see his happy feet. He needs to play like he did Monday night. And, you know, again, just I'm going to say this every single show, keep getting George Kittle involved. Those are my 3 keys.
He's a Saints
More
killer.
Kittle, please. More Kittle.
Yes, more
Saints
Kittle,
killer.
please. Please,
You know?
more number 85.
I can follow up on what you said there just as well. I would really like to see this running game get untracked early. It seems like it takes a little while for them to get this running game rolling. I would like to see them like really hit it hard at the beginning. Seems like it takes a while for them to just get. I don't need to say, like, we can see Elijah Mitchell a little earlier, right? Let's get Mitchell and McCaffrey on the field at the same time, right? I'm totally cool with that. We got to see McCaffrey and Samuel in the backfield together. You know, I'd like to see McCaffrey and Mitchell in the backfield together a little bit more, right? That way you don't really know who's going to be running the ball. Maybe you can go super wishbone, right? And put Debo back there and then really do some craziness because you don't know what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Matt,
again,
I agree.
you read my mind.
There's so many things that they could be doing. There's so many things that they could be doing with this. So this is a perfect week to do it.
Backfield.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Hugh McElhaney, John Henry Johnson, and oh man, who was the other one? Oh man. I'm going to turn around and read the book. I'm going to be so mad. I can't remember who the third guy was. I remember. So mad. I can't even think of that off the top of my head. Hugh McElhaney was the mayor, though. Like, he was good for a very, very long time.
Matt, I just have to tell you on the side note, the white rim on your chair makes you look like a cutout.
I just
It does.
It's like so weird. I was looking at it earlier, like, what is going on with Matt's background?
See, I have a red chair like this. It's a red and black one, but it's downstairs. And like for me to swap those out for
Yeah.
So this one's, we're gonna use this one.
So anyway, he's been sort of floating around in your background, and from my perspective over here.
It's my Dr. Evil chair. Ooh, yeah. My Professor X chair. Either way, however you want to do it.
But I do like Brian's comment about Mitch Wishnowsky having a fake punt. We haven't seen that out of him. And I think he's right. We could probably catch some teams sleeping if we needed to do something like that.
I would love
You
to
know
see
what,
some of that
speaking of-
rugby stuff happen.
Yeah, but speaking of Mitch, I think he actually, it came down to him making pushing the returner out of bounds.
Yeah, a clutch little.
Yeah.
Made a great
Like we
play on
can't
that one,
have that. Like
No,
we
don't need the kickers and the punters making
bad things
these
happen,
games
just
maybe.
like that happened to Robbie Gold.
To Robbie, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So just like the 3 keys to offense, what about the defense? What do you think, Ty?
Defensively, they got 2 weapons. I don't like the game when they had just 2 weapons. Just lock 2 weapons. The quarterback is going to most likely be Big Red, Andy Dalton. He is not the most mobile of quarterback. So I think the pass rush can get to him, which will help, neutralize things on the back end. For me, we tend to play this very soft zone where we're just backed up and a quarterback can dump it down to, a running back underneath. And that guy picks up an automatic 7 yards because we're playing so soft. Kamara is a guy, much like McCaffrey, who can make the first man miss and pick up extra yards. So I think we got to tighten up that zone that we play to take that away some. And I think that'll be a huge key.
Go ahead, Becca.
Well, I mean, I'm going to echo some of what Ty just said. I always feel like we wait till the second half to make adjustments on their key offensive people. And if we start out early shutting down their only cogs in their entire offense, then I think that only bodes well for us. Like we have to not play these soft zones like we see even last week we played soft and then come out in the second half and make those adjustments and shut everyone down. And then you don't have these big playmakers. They're silent in the entire second half. These last 3 weeks, the adjustments have been amazing. So I think we need to try to come out and have those adjustments ready to go for these key playmakers and just make them a non-issue out of the gate. I think if we come out and we really, really hit them hard, they're giving up the 6th highest amount of points. So we need to come out running the ball hard, and we need to, play well on offense. But on defense, I think we have to really get pressure on Andy and shut him down and take away their only offensive weapons. They don't have many at this point. So I think that's the key.
I think we need to contain Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara.
That's the only one I was thinking of is, yeah.
The
guy.
Yeah. And, and like Ty mentioned, Andy Dalton, he isn't very mobile, but we need our pass rush, Nick Bosa. I mean, we need to, get in there and, and the blitzing with right. Exactly. And the blitzing with Fred Warner and, Talanoa Hufanga. He actually had a quiet but good game, Talanoa Hufanga, last week. But yeah, I think that we just, need to play the 49er way, like as far as defense goes. But go ahead, Maddie.
By the way, Joe Perry was the third running back.
Joe Perry. Yep.
Joe Perry. Yep. And of course, Y.A. Tittle was the quarterback of that backfield.
Yes.
Yep. Which is what made the $1 million backfield. I cannot believe I cannot remember Joe Perry. Easiest thing to do. But it was like the easiest name out of the group, too. And I'm like, man, it's going to be so easy. What are you going to do, right?
Only our leading rusher for, how many years? 30, 40? Yeah.
It was like the simplest name, too. That's what made it so mad. I'm like, no, it's going to be like whatever. So, anywho.
It gets older. It gets worse the older you get, Matt. I'm just.
That's what I've noticed. I'm really excited about it. It's great.
It's not
My
okay.
favorite thing to do is like when I get to the kid and it's like, oh, what is your name again? Like, and I list all the kids until I get to them. Or like, sometimes you run it through with like the dog names too, because it's like, oh yeah, you, yeah, it's great. It's a good time. Defensively, just third downs, man. Like I just want those third downs to be lockdown downs. There's still this occasional third down like Olay thing, and I don't get it. I don't know why, because this defense is too good to be letting that stuff happen, and it still happens once in a while, right? Like I don't know why.
I got to cut you off real quick. In the Arizona game, it was one point we had them at a 3rd and 17. And I sat on the edge of my couch and I was like, oh, God, here we go.
That's what I'm
Just for that very same reason.
All did.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Matt, but I
Thank
had
you.
that
No,
feeling.
Ty, no, that is, you made my point.
I did as well,
Like,
yeah.
I should not have this anxiety on 3rd and long. I should be excited for 3rd and long. I should be like, Nick Bosa's coming, right? Charles Amenahu's coming. Like, someone's getting tackled, right? Some quarterback is going down for a loss. Instead, I'm like, oh, God, what play are we going to give up on this?
Yes.
And it's been like this for 2, 3, 4 years. And it's because of what I see on the field. And I go to the games, and they're like, woo, get pumped. It's 3rd down. And I'm like, I'm scared. Stop making me yell, right? Like, I am terrified of this. Like, and then they go to 4th down. I'm like, oh, God, this could be even worse. Yeah. And it's not because this is a bad defense that they've got bad talent, and they're not poorly coached. There's just something that happens on 3rd downs with this team where it's like,
exactly.
I need to see that cleaned up before I'm like super, super excited about it, because it still rears its ugly head once in a while. We got kind of lucky last week. Colt McCoy, like, yeah, his quick release is super handy. Like, if he has someone to throw to, if he doesn't have anybody to throw to, like, that doesn't really help. And also, if he's only playing on one knee, not helpful either, right? So it ended up being a perfect storm last week. I don't think they score any more points with Kyler Murray at quarterback either. They might have scored less with Kyler Murray at quarterback last week, to be quite honest with you, with the way this team was playing. So, Niners do lead the all-time series with the Saints. But I'm telling you, every single game, like I remember the 88 year, like they opened the season in New Orleans and they won by 34-33. And the Saints that year weren't that great. Like Bobby Hebert was at quarterback and Jim Mora. Playoffs. There's pre-playoff Jim Mora. But like those are some really good teams. They had the Ricky Vaughn, they had the Vaughn Johnsons and the Ricky Jacksons and Sam Mills, and those are some tough teams. They're a pain in the butt. So 2 years, and you had them, for 2 years. So even when they were bad, they were a pain. Like that year against Archie Manning when they were down, I don't know, what was it, 35-3, I think, and then they came back to win 38-35. Like that was 1980, I think. Kind of set them up. A lot of people will tell you that's the win that made them be like, wow, 49ers can really do something. So the Saints have always been a historic game. There's usually some sort of ridiculousness. I mean, everybody talks about the 2019 game against the Saints. Like anytime anybody talks about that season, like
that's the first game they pull up.
They don't talk about the NFC title game where we walloped the Green Bay Packers, like just beat them pillar to post, like Lesnar, Cena, and SummerSlam a few years ago, right? Like it was. Would they talk about the New Orleans regular season game? That's the one they talk about.
Matt Mayoko mentioned it last week that was one of his favorite memories. Yeah.
It's just
so. I just want to say though, the Saints have won the 7 of the last 10 regular season games.
Against who?
The Niners.
Us?
We beat them in 2019.
No, 7 of the last 10 though.
7 of the last 10 regular.
7 of the last 10. There you go. Yeah.
The Saints have had our number for a little bit though. I mean, we've won some key ones. Yeah.
They always play us tough. There's always some weird things happening. One caveat here is we played them a lot in New Orleans.
Well, sure.
Yes.
With Drew Brees
in our division too.
And we all remember the Ahmad Brooks game
Ooh.
where he made that tackle. It was a fumble. We recovered the ball. We would have won the game, and the referee throws the flag, roughing the passer. Totally
Yeah,
robbed there.
that picture surfaces every now and again on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come up this week. It'll come up by this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm gonna go looking for it now just to bring that back up.
The one thing we got going for us, we played them in 2019. A lot of those guys who played in that game are still here. Also, Kyle is a big historian. He's big on nostalgia and all that stuff. I'm sure he's saying, hey, this game is always tough, even though he's only played them once probably. He's probably telling everybody, this game is always tough. This is always a tough matchup. Do not overlook them. We have to take care of our business at home. And that's going to be a selling point. I'm sure he's driving that home to them.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope they're
so,
listening. Too. My guess is he's doing that. Is it sinking in, right? Like I tell my kids things all the time. It doesn't mean they're going to, take advantage of it. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a big week, and we can never overlook that human factor. I'm telling you, this is a perfect storm week, man, for just like not fun stuff. Like I'm never super duper excited about a home game. The home game after a Monday night road game, too much stuff going on. You ever come back from a vacation a couple days? Like you got laundry to catch up on. Like I got to look at that mail. I got to do all this other stuff, right? I got to do life stuff.
It's a weird week, for sure.
A weird week. And then I got to stop in the
week.
middle of it and have all these people over to eat, or I got to go somewhere and eat, or I got to go today. Like,
well, Kyle did say today in his press conference that he did kind of, say to the young guys about like Thanksgiving and, and stuff like that. I mean, but yeah. So who is your guy that, obviously the Saints are going to play us tough as they always do, as we've been saying. Who is your guy that has to step up this week?
On either side of the ball? Doesn't matter?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
For me, it's the defensive ends. Because I forgot who mentioned Taysom Hill earlier. My apologies.
It
was
Jess.
No, I think Jess did.
Jess, you mentioned him.
Yeah.
We all know what he likes to do. He's not a running guy. He's a read option guy, right? And they're going to probably want to use some read option to take advantage of things they saw what Mariota did in the Atlanta game. So the defensive ends have to stay disciplined and keep an eye on him just to contain him. And I think that's going to be a huge key because I know, they're going to put him in to run that stuff. And it's like, hey, don't go crashing down the line, attacking the running back because he'll pull that thing out and run right around, which he loves to do. So the defensive ends have to be disciplined.
My key this week, the guy it's not so much looking to have anybody step up or whatever. It's going to be if Cam Jordan plays. He didn't play last week. That's a big deal on their defense, right? Cam Jordan's their TJ Watt, kind of.
He's their guy. Yeah.
In terms of like how the Pittsburgh team is with TJ Watt, like Cam Jordan is like that for the Saints. Yeah. He didn't play last week, and it was noticed. So if he's at less than 100% this week, or if he doesn't play this week, that's a huge win because that's one guy that you don't have to account for, so you can deploy other things. If he does play, whoever's guarding him needs to be on their game, right? They cannot be the lowest rated PFF tackle this week or anybody else. Like they're going to have to really do some stuff. Like they can't be. He can create havoc all on his own.
Yeah, that means if he plays our right side of the line, our offensive line, because he's normally on the defensive left, has to step up.
Yeah, that was going to be I was over here like hemming and hawing, like, do I say the O-line has to hold up and give Jimmy, keep Jimmy's pocket clean for him and give him an opportunity to to
They do.
go through the weeds. I mean,
Mhm.
they absolutely do.
They
Whereas,
do.
We got to get rid of
Mhm.
the zone coverage in the first half of the game that we've been doing, and allowing teams to move the chains and go score or early on us. So I don't know. I think that both sides of the line have to really, really be sharp and take care of business. And that's I'm not going to pick a player particularly. I guess I'm following Ty's lead. The whole
At school,
both
yeah.
everybody.
the whole defensive
Everybody
line.
has to show up.
Yeah, I don't have a specific player either. Mine is actually the front seven. I think they really need to be alert, and
Mhm.
with Alvin Kamara, with Taysom Hill, just like
Yeah.
I alluded to earlier, I think everybody, not, and yes, the defensive ends, but just even like Fred Warner, Aziz Al-Shaair, Dre
Yeah.
Greenlaw. I think everybody just has to be, on that attack mode.
Yeah.
So first place in the NFC West, third seed right now.
That's right.
Does this hold up?
Woo!
Woo!
Woo! Saints week. You should have worn that the whole time.
I
Man,
almost
how
put it
did-
on before when we did the Saints preview.
Love it.
Unbelievable.
And I
Missed
still
opportunity.
can't-
I tell you our story
Right.
about our hashtag in New Orleans. The last time we went down there was beads and booty tickles. There's a whole story, and I'll share that with you guys. How
I'm
that
loving
came
the name
about.
already. I'm loving this already.
When we finally do the TV show about this whole thing, this can be the one with weeds and booty tickles. This can be the one that we can.
Beads
That's
and
we can
booty
episode.
tickles.
Yeah.
Beads and booty
Yeah,
tickles.
Beads and booty.
Weeds.
No,
Yeah.
remember we talked about weeds earlier.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
weeds
Like, that's
earlier. So
Yeah. Now it's
see?
beads.
Like
Yeah.
the whole
Now we moved
episode.
on to
Crazy.
weeds, beads, and booty tickles. There we go.
Beads and booty tickles.
Oh boy.
That's it.
Coming this
That's
fall.
the one.
Theater
That's
near
what we
you.
needed.
Telling
The
you,
law
it is
offices of
the number one trip that I've taken is down to that New Orleans game. Whew.
What a firm name. That would be. Ooh.
I'd work there.
It was our
Yeah.
hashtag. It was our
hope
hashtag
so.
the whole weekend. Every picture
I
we
go to law
posted,
school for that.
everything we did. We chased down a marching band. They were wearing red sweater vests. And I said, look, they're wearing red. Let's go. And they're like, what, are we going to run after them? I was like, yes, we are.
Oh my God.
We had like this whole Niner marching parade of our own down all over New Orleans. When we finally stopped following them, we were like, anybody know where we are? We went for like 20 minutes following them down streets. We had no idea where we were going. But anyway, we created our own havoc in New Orleans.
All
Brian,
right.
you're not wrong. They really can get that second seed. Minnesota's
Yes.
schedule does not look that hot the rest of the way.
No.
They got a big game coming up Thursday night. Like there's so many other conditions right now, and like we get a tough schedule as well. But yeah, New Orleans is where it starts, man. Like you gotta bang that out, and then you start the stretch.
Maddie, I know you said a couple shows ago that it's going to come down to that Seattle game. Do you still think that?
I really do. I think whoever wins that game's going to win the division. I mean, look at the Rams right now. Their quarterback is, there's a very good possibility their quarterback and the top receiver are done for the year, right?
They're done.
They've released their top running back. He doesn't play for them anymore. He's gone. So, so that's that. And they're just kind of there, right? They're going to be seeing what's left. Arizona could very well be in the same boat. Another bad week this week. Cliff might not be coaching next week, or if he is coaching, it's going to be very lame duckish, right?
Mhm.
So I don't see those games. When Seattle plays LA, when Seattle plays like all those games, and thinking that they're going to split. I don't see those as splits anymore. Like at the end of the day, for us to win this division, we're going to have to sweep Seattle. So yes, it's going to come down to that Thursday night game. I think that's how it's going to be. Because we can't
about
trust
you,
the
Becca?
Rams or Arizona to help at all.
True.
Do I think it comes down to that? I mean, I guess you're making some valid points because, I mean, Arizona just fired their assistant head coach after some incident this week. So I think they're kind of spiraling now. They're in a very dysfunctional place. But, you know, I don't know about the Rams necessarily. I think they might still try to put up a good fight. They're in the division. They're going to play everybody in the division well and play them hard. And if it comes down to us having to beat the Seahawks, I think we do. But you know, I think they're somehow magically inflated over playing above their level, their pay grade right now, and I don't think it's going to take much to pop that, you know, burst that bubble and bring them back to earth. But I don't see them being they might end up being the only roadblock left on the path to the division, but you know, certainly it should not be knocking but more than a speed bump. You know? I don't want to say these things out loud.
We do a lot of that on this show. All you hear is the whole, you know, knock on wood.
Candlestick, dirt.
I have a thing of sage over there. Could you just start burning that outside right now?
I got the
Let it rip.
candlestick dirt in the corner.
That's good. Yeah, please.
I'm knocking on my desk over here.
I know. I hate to
I
say
pray to
it.
Saint Walsh before every game, but like
Well,
we can only do
we
so
have to
much.
do these things because you know we just know how this can go.
Right.
It's just-
By the way,
100%.
I still can't unsee the whole jersey thing with Ty and the, you know, the Dwight Clark.
It's still there.
I still can't. I can't unsee it.
Like if I do
And it's
this,
funny
like,
because
got
I
the
know it's
top
a
of
Nick,
it there.
it's
Yeah.
a Nick Bosa jersey, but it's just the top of the 9, so it
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
looks like it.
it
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
aligns perfectly.
Yeah.
With,
Brian, I
with
agree.
you
All right, Ty, go
think
ahead.
12
floating
and
in front of
5
it.
is-
Yeah.
Brian, I agree. I think 12 and 5 is kind of that spot. I don't know about that last game of the season, but yeah, I think 12 and 5 is good.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Yeah. The question was, will this hold up? And I think it will. I think right now we're clicking on a lot of cylinders that make us tough to beat. Looking at the schedule, I don't fear any of these teams coming up. I'm not overlooking them, but if we play our football, if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot like we did earlier in the season, we're running the table. We can beat all these teams because they don't have what we have. They don't have the firepower offensively or defensively that we have. Seattle has 3 tough games left on their schedule. Ours is one of them. You know, I don't see them winning all 3 of those games. So the division is ours. And I think we can really make a push for that 2 seed should the Vikings start to falter, you know, like we saw last Sunday. So I think it holds up. I think we're in a good position. Once again, we control our own destiny. Let's just get it done.
I agree. What
Yeah.
Tom
Let's
said.
get it done. Let's not have to get to that. Okay,
Right.
like procrastinating teenager last second. I got to get this
Yeah,
in
let's-
before
Exactly.
Donna
my
Martin graduates
too.
sort
My
of deal,
papers
right?
too.
Like,
Exactly.
let's do it now because this week should be a winnable game.
Mhm.
The Miami and Tampa games are not going to be easy by any means, however they go. Still winnable, but still something to keep an eye on, right? The Washington game, again, that's coming. That's a Christmas Eve game, so there's another holiday game.
That's another weird one.
So,
Yep.
and that's another weird one because Washington's in kind of a weird spot right now. They could still make the playoffs, so they're kind of at that. They're the line of demarcation for a lot of teams right now in the NFC.
hmm
So, because after Washington, everybody seems to be like a game or two or under 500. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's going to be that one's going to be a really weird one. You still don't really know what you're going to get from Arizona towards the end of the year either. So, and then you've got the Vegas game, right? What are we getting from Vegas? Like they're 2 and whatever, but a lot of their losses are by a point or they go to overtime. They make things interesting. So nothing we can really overlook. I think the division should be a good shot. And yeah, I 100% 2 seed, I think would be the way to go. I think optimally that would be the absolute best spot for it. But I just think it's going to be a tough road to hoe right now because you just
yeah.
don't know what to expect from this team
Right.
week to week.
That's true. I do think that we do take the division, but we have to take care of business. We just have to, I know we can scoreboard watch and do all that, but we have to take care of everything on our end. The Seahawks have the Raiders this week, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We could all, as much as I hate to say this, we could all root for the Raiders. Sorry, Larry B.
Yeah, right?
I know you're a huge Raiders fan. We could all root for the Raiders, but we also have to take care of what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. We're going to do a little Fansgiving. 5 things we as 49ers fans are thankful for. Becca, why don't we start off with you?
Well, my turkey's going to need maybe an extra feather. I couldn't narrow it down.
Go for it.
I'm that girl. Well, first and foremost, I want to say I think I'm thankful for an organization who really fosters the fan base, taking care of the fan base and really, really puts effort and energy into taking care of us and bringing us together in many ways. So to that, I think the team adds value and really, really takes care of that and with the engagement that they do. So I love that for us and for the team. And to back that up, I would say social media afterwards, because, I've met so many cool people on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I mean, I literally can count 20 or 30 people that are true hardcore friends that, now after almost 15 plus years on Twitter, I have some of the best friends ever from social media. So, I think social media has given us a way to connect and bring fans together. That's really been just an amazing experience as a Niner fan. I guess I owe a feather to the boys in elementary school for throwing the whole thing out there as an option for me to even take an interest in football. I mean, between that and the catch, like watching football in that moment, not knowing what was happening in the game, but knowing that we won that game, that was the moment, a defining moment for me to say, I need to know how football works. I really need to understand this game. And, brought that forward for me. I would say on a deeply personal note, I've already shared, I grew up in extreme poverty in West Virginia. And so for me, the dominance in the 80s, that gave me something to cheer for and a reason to have some smiles and some laughs, that really sometimes was the best moment that I can look back on and say, if it wasn't for the Niners, I really had not a lot to cheer for in a lot of situations. So, the 80s teams really, really hold a big special place for me. I'll always be a Niner fan, and there'll never be another team, that I've never once bet against the Niners. So for me, they're pretty special. Let's see. And I think too, for some of it, it's the players. They've always been really gracious, a lot of them, to stop and sign and take pictures and do the fan engagement. My extra feathers are going to be Jimmy's jawline. I mean, as many ducks as he goes, and as much as we want to crap on Jimmy, he is still very nice to look at. And
that rosé suit,
not to be the least feather, is Patrick Willis. I love his story. I love his infectious smile and his just positive attitude. When I see Patrick go live, I'm happy. I've only ever ugly cried for 2 players. That's when we traded Joe Montana to Kansas City, and when Patrick retired, I sat in my car in the parking lot and I sobbed because I just love him. His heart, after everything he's been through in his life, and to still smile and have a positive attitude. If he can be grateful and be thankful and be positive, the rest of us have no excuse. So that is my Thanksgiving, I guess, message. Be thankful, be happy, be, for your blessings and what you have, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
That's awesome.
A few more feathers
Cool.
then.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's okay. That's awesome. Ty, you're up. Go ahead.
I'm up. Okay. So I'm thankful for. Hold on. Okay. Jeez. Alrighty. One. I'm thankful for just organization-wise ownership for taking care of the team, their travel needs. We see what they do with West Virginia. We see what they did this week, taking them to Colorado Springs and then flying them to Mexico. I mean, it shows that they are invested in their players and want to put them in the best position to succeed. I think that's awesome. I'm very thankful for the 49ers studio production team. We talked about Brick by Brick earlier. They help produce that, but they give us some fantastic background footage and sideline footage and things of that nature that you don't see from a lot of other teams. It helps us, just get a little closer to the game and the players. I think they do an awesome job. I'm thankful for Lynch and Cole putting this roster together. I think we got a roster of some very good individuals. I mean, you don't hear about any bad off the field stuff from them. Everything is positive, and like Becca just mentioned, those guys, they engage with the fans. They don't mind stopping, signing autographs, taking pictures, doing birthday shout outs on Twitter, things of that nature. I mean, it's a good group of guys, and I credit, Lynch and Cole for bringing those type of guys in. If you know me, Jerry Rice was my favorite player growing up. I'm very thankful that he's always had a 49ers game at home. I don't have to sit back and wonder what's my favorite player doing nowadays. I always see him there. It brings a smile to my face. It's just me, still the giddy kid in me, like, that's my guy, So very thankful for that. And I am thankful for the faithful, us, the fans, always supporting this team, especially on the road, showing up, showing out, supporting this team, cheering them on. It's exciting to see, and I just hope everyone keeps it going.
Awesome. Maddie, go ahead.
I'm gonna go way back. First up, very thankful to the Morabito family.
Ooh, there you go.
Because without them, there is absolutely no San Francisco 49ers.
You took it way back.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna go back to the 80s.
The 49ers and the Browns were part of the AAFL, I believe, back in the day. Started in 1946. They lasted a couple of years, but the Morabitos kept it alive long enough so that when the NFL finally said, "Okay, we'd like to take some teams in, and we want to do this," the only two teams that got picked were the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, think about how much different our lives would be if we did not have the San Francisco 49ers in them. Okay?
My brick is
Much
in the
different.
Morabito section.
Yeah, I mean, and 100%. When I sat at the Chargers side, when I sat at the game the other week, I sat on the opposite side. I usually sit on the home side, so it's the first time I really get to see the other side. And you get to see their names on the left side. So, also the owner, one of them died during a game. He died at halftime of a game against the Bears.
Wow.
And he was told years earlier, he should really stop trying to own the football team because it wasn't good for his heart. He's like, yeah, whatever. And he died at halftime, and they ended up coming back and winning that game. So, for this team to even exist is crazy. So, if it hadn't been for the Morabitos, they wouldn't be here. So, thankful for them. Second, we're thankful for Eddie DeBartolo for buying the team from those folks.
Eddie D.
Firing Joe Thomas early enough so that he couldn't completely destroy the franchise for longer after trading 2 first-round picks for what was left of O.J. Simpson's knee. Craziness. Could you imagine that happening today? Just nutso. Number one pick overall in the draft, traded for a running back who's going to be out of the league in a year. It's great
Yep.
stuff. Good times.
We did have Trent Baalke with his torn ACLs though.
You had the Trent Baalke thing, yeah, but he never traded the number one pick.
Not number one, yeah.
Like,
No,
He
the
just
no.
number
draft
one
those
overall
guys.
pick
True.
in 1979. Like, bye, we don't need him, right? The only
we
good thing
did-
that came out of O.J. Simpson was that they tore up artificial turf for him at Candlestick, and they made Candlestick grass. So I'm sure that probably did some things, maybe save Joe Montana. Third, very thankful, and DeBartolo also did the thing that I'm thankful for third, which is hiring Bill Walsh. Because if you don't hire Bill Walsh, we could be right along the same lines of the Detroit Lions right now, or the Cleveland Browns, or one of these other franchises that hasn't seen the Super Bowl outside of hosting it as a guest, right? We all got the privilege of growing up at different timelines, but during those timelines, we get to see the 49ers win a Super Bowl during it, right? We get to see Joe Montana and Steve Young and Charles Haley and Ronnie Lott and all these guys. And then you saw Bryant Young and Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice. And like, at the end of the day, like each generation and everything that's come through is because Eddie DeBartolo had faith in Bill Walsh to let him do it, right? So between those two and the Morbidos, there's three. Fourth, will always be thankful that they drafted Joe Montana in the third round in 1979. Thank you very much. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to have people that talk about how Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. But the first greatest quarterback of all time was Joe Montana, right? No matter what, whatever you think of the today's stuff, whatever, he's the one. He overtook everybody else, right? Everybody else, he was the gold standard, however that was matched. So to know that you had football Jesus coming from touchdown Jesus to play for the 49ers is just amazing. And then after that, to be able to follow that up with Steve Young and to be able to see that, like to be able to see those two even on the same roster at the same time, like if you're going to have a quarterback controversy, having a quarterback controversy with two Hall of Famers is a quarterback controversy to have, right?
That is, yeah.
We could be so lucky to have Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo be at that level, right? Like at the end of the day, we could be super lucky. So I'm thankful for all five of those things, right? Because at the end of the day, it set the standard for what we know to expect and what we want to see again, so that when we do see it, we can cherish it, right? And so that when we have what we have in front of us, we know what it is, and we're not let down by it if it doesn't quite meet the goals of the past, as long as they win that 6th Lombardi trophy.
Cool.
Like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Well done.
I'm thankful for the York family for hiring Kyle Shanahan.
Very smart decision.
Yes.
Agree.
It might be unpopular to the fire Kyle Shanahan crowd, but in my opinion, props to the Yorks for finally getting it right and letting both Shanahan and Lynch develop quite the football culture in San Francisco. Secondly, Kyle Shanahan, because he's a great coach. He loves his players, loves the fans, and he's probably one of the most humble people that I've ever met. Third, the equipment staff, because day in and day out, even long hours, they get our guys ready to go and ready to battle every single weekend, even for practice.
What
Fourth,
a thankless job that is, too. By the way.
Yeah.
Holy God. Like, can you
Yeah.
imagine you go home for Thanksgiving? Like, what do you do? I work equipment for the 49ers.
Yeah.
You probably got to
Fill it up.
explain yourself all the
A
time.
Yeah.
lot of
Like, it's just,
sweaty clothes there.
it's just like,
Right.
I just, all the things that you've got to do, like, I just bless them
and just
their
like
hearts
and just
for
the
doing it.
detail, like setting up everybody's lockers, and like it's
The stuff they
it's
need,
a lot.
like, and
Yeah.
everybody needs like unique stuff. It's they need different sizes. You can't just be like, everybody gets the same size glove and like all this other stuff. Like, nuts, man.
Yeah, and
I can barely take care of
shout
myself,
out
and they
to,
got to take care of like 90 people.
and special shout out to Robert Lloyd. He's one of the equipment guys there. Fourth, the defensive line, because even though, Armstead and Kinlaw, who are missed, these guys step up when their numbers are called.
Yeah.
And they're definitely relentless. Fifth, our captains, because they bring that leadership and don't quit mentality. And I am going to have a sixth one here, because this all started with my dad. Tomorrow is actually his birthday as well. So happy birthday, Dad. Thank you. But because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be this crazy diehard 49er fan today. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. But on that note, let's go to our hurry up offense and the 2-minute warning.
Indeed.
That's awesome because I've got like 8% left on my battery.
Also, this is real quick for me. This week it's all about having a happy Thanksgiving. I want to wish everybody the best. Have fun with your families, have a fun day. Just take time, rest, take it easy, and be well.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Who's that?
All right. Me. Everybody keep their fingers crossed, hoping to get out to the game on Sunday so I can get some more video for next week and next week's stuff. And hopefully it's a lot of 49ers touchdowns and variable touchdowns. But at the end of the day, hope everybody enjoys Thanksgiving and hope everyone roots against the Vikings tomorrow night because, we got to be rooting for that 2 seed, right? We got to root for all the teams in front of us to go down.
Go ahead, Becca.
Well, I think, it's definitely a time to reflect and be thankful and grateful for all you have and the people in your lives and keep that in mind as you go through the weekend and don't get caught up in the Black Friday and all of the hubbub of shopping. Keep the people who love you in your heart and Patrick Willis, his smile in your back of your mind as you're doing your thing, but enjoy your family. And enjoy football. Go Niners. We got to win this. And I agree with Matt. Let's root for the people we need to lose to lose.
It may hurt to root for the Patriots, but here we are.
Tomorrow, enjoy your family, enjoy the food, enjoy football. Enjoy the Niners game on Sunday. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the chat. You guys are great, showing support every week. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Thank you guys for bringing it every single Wednesday. Love you guys. But more importantly, you know what? Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Let's take care of business. Let's keep this thing going, guys. Let's go.
That's the reason they used to call them the Aints, baby.
There is a reason.
The Aints come marching in.
They ain't
Right.
got it.
I love it. On that note, we're out. Everyone have a good day.
See you next
And
week.
of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking,